in listen-only mode.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Tracy Fitzpatrick, and I'll be your moderator today. Thank you so much for joining us here at NetCom Learning, a market leader in promoting lifelong learning, training, and talent development solutions. We are excited to host today's webinar, Enhance the IT Competitive Edge with ITIL Certification. And presenting today's topic is Deepak Bhaskaran. Deepak is a project management professional with over 12 years of experience in delivering technology, advisory, and hands-on implementation that extract and maximize business value from IT investments. He's written accredited introductory and intermediate classes in the areas of project management, program management, ITIL, business analysis, process design, improvement, agile, and soft skill. Now, please bear in mind that this is an overview of a very robust topic. We do offer a collection of technical and business courses that can be tailored towards your specific requirements. If you are interested in further discussion, you can make an appointment with our learning consultants through our website at netcomlearning.com. Today's session is also being recorded, so you will get free access to the recording in the next 24 hours via email. And now I would like to invite Mary Feeney, Channel Management and Bid Specialist here at NetCom Learning, to discuss some values and important information. Mary, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Tracy. NetCom Learning helps customers build innovative learning organization by achieving a smarter workforce, adapting to change, and driving growth. We do this with a broad catalog of offerings, developing customized learning plans, and our global delivery capabilities. Since 1998, we have been empowering organizations with our managed learning services to help them reach optimal performance results and address challenges. We have 9 practice areas in which we specialize. They encompass people, process, and technology training. And today's presentation is from the business process practice area. NetCom Learning offers a comprehensive training portfolio for ITIL. Here are some of our upcoming classes on our public schedule. There's ITIL Practitioner with Certification Exam, which is scheduled on the 18th of December. ITIL Foundation with Certification Exam, that's on the 11th of December. ITIL RCV, Intermediate Capability, ITIL Release Control and Validation with Certification Exam, which is on November 27. ITIL Intermediate Life Cycle Service Transition with Certification Exam, which is on November 29. ITIL MALC Expert Level, that's Managing Across the Life Cycle with the Certification Exam as well, which is on December 11. We can also deliver this classes via private training to your teams. We can customize it for your specific needs. These offerings can be found with a simple search on our website, that's netcomlearning.com. Enroll for any of the recommended courses and add 15% to your savings. Promo code WITIL 3110. Promotion is valid until November 15th. And with that, I will turn it over back to you, Tracy.
Thank you so much, Mary, for all that valuable information. So why should you all attend this webinar today? Information Technology Infrastructure Library, or ITIL, is the most widely accepted approach to IT service management in the world. And with this webinar, you can understand how ITIL helps individuals and organizations to realize business change, transformation, and growth. Now I'd like to give you a quick overview of the logistics before we get started. To start with, you do have the option to adjust the window size to your liking. Simply hit the escape key and find the Zoom button on the top left corner of your GoToWebinar viewer. Everyone has been muted except for our presenters. Please feel free to submit any questions you have for the presenters here in the questions pane, and we will address them at the end of the session. A PDF copy of today's slides are also in the handout section of your GoToWebinar viewer. And now I'd like to pass this over to Deepak, who will be presenting today's topic. Deepak, go ahead, you are live.
Thanks a lot, Tracy. Thanks everyone for joining today's session.
ITIL, once again, people pronounce it different ways, and I was just educating Tracy about that. Is again short, an acronym for Information Technology Infrastructure Library. It is in fact a set of detailed practices. It's much similar to how you have the 10 commandments, where you have 10 commandments. Here in ITIL, it's a set of detailed practices that are ideal on IT service management, or again, another acronym, ITSM. The key reason why ITIL has become one of the most prominent name in the current industry is that it aligns the IT services with the needs of businesses. So with that, let's look at what we will be covering in today's session. We are going to be talking a little brief about ITIL, the history behind it all, and also a little bit about who currently manages it, and also about service management, right? Once again, ITIL is kind of a composition of 5 key volumes: service strategy, service design, service transition, service operation, and continual service improvement. All of these combine together to form what is called a C-service portfolio, and all are part of the service management infrastructure. We will also be talking briefly about the pyramid structure of the ITIL certification path. Unfortunately, most of the proponents of ITIL have made it really confusing enough, and I always have found a lot of positive feedback at the end of the session, where you as an audience or as aspiring professionals who want to grow your career would have a well-defined path to take forward and grow your career as an ITIL expert. Again, we'll be talking about the 5 components of ITSM. Again, we talked about ITSM earlier. It is nothing but IT service management. And finally, we will be closing the chapter with a brief benefits of becoming an ITIL certified professional, what it means for your career and for yourself, both personally and professionally, to go. And finally, we'll end up with a brief Q&A session. Okay, I hope that seems to be the primary agenda. We have had these sessions multiple number of times, and while as Tracy mentioned, again, ITIL is pretty much a huge and robust topic, and what we want to achieve at the end of this webinar is to give you key insights and key areas which you can then understand, assimilate, and then progress to take the final decisions of how do you want to progress again with the goal of becoming a true ITIL service professional. Once again, if you do have an option to provide us using the chat option, do send us a brief of what is your name, the number of years of experience that you have, and a couple of key messages of what else you might want us to focus during this webinar. Once again, ITIL topic is pretty robust, and while we have a preset agenda, we would definitely want to help you achieve your end goals at the end of the webinar. So while the Q&A session is also there, if there are any preset questions that you have that you want to be addressed, feel free to toss them out using the questions option, and I would ensure that I can use that to appropriately guide or either highlight or add a little segue to our existing preset agenda items as well. I might give a few minutes for the audience to enter their questions on the screen, and then we can get started with our overarching slide on ITIL. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, ITIL is again an acronym which stands for Information Technology Infrastructure Library. What many people are not aware of is that the origins of ITIL actually started off with the public office of the UK government. Primarily in the late 1970s or early 1980s, the UK government's Central Computer and Telecommunication Agency, also called as the CCTA, which was tasked with managing all of the infrastructure. And in those time, the computer and telecommunication agencies infrastructure were primarily servers and huge mainframe engine systems, and managing them was a huge task. And again, since it came from the public office, the terminology used was library management, which kind of akin to how the infrastructure management also grew. And that's the reason why you have very similar terminologies, which the UK government, the public infrastructure team used to manage libraries and other important resources, used to map their best practices into how they are managing the information technology infrastructure. Now, that might help you understand why the specific terminology of ITIL actually stands for Information Technology Infrastructure Library, right? Once again, this has origin, while the ITIL origin started off with the UK government, the publishment of these set of standards kind of became much more widely accessible only during the 1990s when they started publishing it. And this was essentially the time when it also merged with the Edward Deming's ideology of PDCA, or the Plan, Do, Check Act. Again, in the next few years was when the CCTA, which we earlier used to call as the Central Computer and Telecommunication Agency, merged with the OGC, the Office of Government Commerce, and they jointly published the version 2 of ITIL back in 2001, right? And 2007 is when the version 3 ITIL also got published to the general public. Very often you might read online about ITIL V3, either if they're concerned with trainings or certifications. Once again, remember the V3 certifications trainings are all outdated. They all refer to the ITIL version that was published way back in 2007. So again, this is more like a public service announcement, and I want to veer you off any outdated training service providers who still talk about ITIL V3 certification. So please be aware of those training organizations. The ITIL V3 was in fact one of the biggest push of ITIL into the general public. This was then preceded in 2011 by the latest modification to ITIL, which is what currently Axelos and other certification bodies refer to when they are certifying your knowledge in ITIL, is always referred to the 2001 version of ITIL. So the latest version, once again, would be either called ITIL V2011, and it's not, unfortunately, it's not referred to as V4 as frequent as we might like, but 2011 is the latest version of the ITIL libraries, and that is essentially what you want to know or what you want to get updated with when you are going ahead to be certified as ITIL professional. Now, kind of coming back to once that we have covered where the beginnings of ITIL started off, let us also understand what has now culminated into the huge set of best practices, which are overarchingly called as ITIL, right? As I mentioned earlier, ITIL is an acronym for Information Technology Infrastructure Library. It is a series of best practices, a set of detailed practices for IT service management, or ITSM. It has been focused on aligning IT services with the needs of the business, and the the key reason for the popularity of ITIL or ITIL is that it is a series of best practices, and it is not what we would term as the only practices, right? Any organization which is adopting ITIL would be taking up the series of best practices and adapting it to their organizational needs. And 2011 was incidentally also when the whole cloud management or service management of infrastructure became much more prominent with the Google, the Amazons of the world, where instead of talking about set infrastructure, you were migrating to how creating infrastructure around business needs, right? And that's essentially where ITIL has right now been playing a much more prominent role. And you would notice most of the openings that you currently have for ITIL certified professionals come from the later on cloud-based service providers like Amazon, Google, Microsoft, so on and so forth. Right? Again, in order for the professionals to adhere to ITIL, they have earmarked the whole set of best practices into 5 key volumes, which consist of ITIL service strategy, which is all about, at a very high level, understanding organizational objective and the customer needs. The next is the service design, which is creating a service strategy into a plan for delivering the necessary business objectives. And then we have the service transition, which talks about developing and improving the capabilities for introducing new services into supported environments. And then we have the service operation, which is on managing all of the new services that have been created in a supported environment. And finally, the whole concept of CSI, or continual service improvement, which is primarily about achieving incremental and large scale improvements. All of these volumes are combined together into what we call as the service portfolio or the service catalog management, a graphical representation of how the service strategy, which once again, as I mentioned, was about creating the strategy for delivering service, into service design was creating the architecture or the detailed plan, and then service transitioning, creating the service itself, and service operation, which is managing the services which have been created, and finally creating incremental updates and improvements to the entire services, which is through IT service continual service improvement, or the CSI. With that, I want to have a quick recap, and this essentially helps me get a feedback or get a pulse from the system on where how often do you have understood the whole methodology that we've talked about. So we have been successfully, we've covered or encapsulated the whole information about the history behind ITIL, and also on what are the key reasons why ITIL has become so famous, right? So question back to the audience, and you can use again the questions, or you can use the chat to respond to this. Why is ITIL so successful and well known? Is it because A, it is not owned by any one organization, in the sense that ITIL has been, while ITIL practices and certifications are owned by a company called Axelos, depending on the company that adapts and adopts ITIL practices, they become their own animal or their own set of being. It provides a series of best practices. Is it because it is very specially focused on a single area of technology? Or is it because it contains framework applicable to any organization? Or is it because it provides strict methodologies for solving business problems? Which are the key reasons why ITIL is, in fact, the most famous and the most successful IT service management certifications or professions out there? going to give a few minutes and then we can unveil the answers. Okay. The answer is ITIL is successful because it is more a generic set of best practices rather than focusing on a specific niche and tool or technology, right? It is definitely not owned by an organization. Just so that we understand, Axelos is the certification body which licenses organizations to use ITIL, which accredits examinations and also would be your primary certification body. But ITIL practices are not owned by any organization, in the sense that any organization that licenses their ITIL from Axelos can adapt and adopt it to their own mechanism, right? It provides a series of best practices, which is correct. It is not focused on a single area of technology, right? While service management and specifically cloud operations are primarily the area where ITIL has been predominantly applied upon, it is not. Where the generation of ITIL was on managing IT infrastructure in a more generic manner, regardless of any domain, technology, or organization. Right? Once again, it does not provide a strict series of strict methodologies. They are adaptable and adoptable methodologies that each industry, each domain, and each their organization success. Now comes the key knowledge that I want to impart upon you on growing your career as an ITIL expert. Right? ITIL, unlike many of the other certification bodies, has a pyramid structure on how you can grow your career. And while there is a slight pyramid, it is also to a sense wide or diverse enough that it could match and meet the required needs of you as a specific person. So in that sense, if you as a professional want to become a highly managerial oriented resource, you have a different path of growing within ITIL versus if you want to grow as a technology or a service oriented person, right? So let's get started on how you can grow your career within this pyramid structure of ITIL, right? Again, I do want to reiterate that ITIL aspirants have a flexibility in terms of choosing the right area of focus and the certifications. But to begin with, almost all ITIL professionals need to be foundation certified. The foundation is an entry-level qualification into the world of ITIL, and it offers a huge, amazing insight into all the elements and key concepts and terminologies across the ITIL service lifecycle. If you remember, we talked about the service lifecycle earlier, comprising of 5 volumes: service strategy, service design, service transition, service operations, and the continuous service improvement. This is a mandatory certification without which you cannot progress your career in the ITIL world. So if you are considering and if you are a newbie to the whole arena of ITIL, this would be the first step that you want to get yourself trained and certified. Once you are ITIL Foundation certified, you can then choose which path you want to grow as a ITIL professional, right? You can either become a process specialized owner or a resource, or you can grow in the managerial cadre as well. Depending on either of the options that you want to choose, you can take up service capability certifications if you want to grow very deep into a specific process, which once again could be the service strategy, service design, transition, service operations, or the CSI, or you could start taking up certification examinations on the service lifecycle. Once again, note that each certification that you would be taking across would be once you pass each of the certifications, you would be awarded a certain number of credits. And for you to become an ITIL intermediate expert, you would then, after you get a series of credits which amount to around 15 credits, which could either be a series of 5 certifications or a series of 6 certifications, depending on the credits for each certification. You could then take up the MALC, or the managing across the life cycle certification, which would provide you to become an ITIL intermediate expert. The next step after you become an ITIL intermediate and you get the MALC certification is that you become an ITIL expert. ITIL expert level of certification is aimed purely at professionals who want to demonstrate their knowledge and expertise in the ITIL schema in the whole entirety. The expert level certification is given only to those professionals who have cleared a range of different ITIL examinations and demonstrated expertise, superior knowledge in the ITIL best practices. As I mentioned earlier, there are multiple certifications you can take up depending on which area or which path you want to grow. Either it could be on specialized process level knowledge or in the managerial cadre area. And the ITIL expert is predominantly one who has raked up at least 15 or so credit points across all these certifications to be certified as an ITIL expert. Now you have become an ITIL expert and you're wondering what next, right? The next area to grow would be, as you get more professional experience, you could then truly think about truly becoming an ITIL master. The ITIL master candidate does not need to have taken up a certification examination, but in fact would want to discuss and elaborate about the professional experience he or she have undertaken thanks to the ITIL cadre that they have gone through. There are very few ITIL masters, pretty much in fact handful across the entire globe, and it is definitely a more coveted area if you want to reach the ultimate ITIL professional service experience. Quick question once again. What are the various features of ITIL certifications? There are multiple levels of certifications? Are there 2 intermediate streams, which we talked about earlier as well? One was for specializing on the service area, the other was on specializing in the managerial cadre. The candidates must first pass the MALC, or the managing across life cycle, before obtaining the ITIL expert certification. That's true. And there is always an option for advancement in the certification. The right answer is all of the above. Now, as we come to the final end of our seminar, once again, we have combined and consolidated a couple of the key information about ITIL, which you would be finding it difficult to kind of obtain and have a much more structural view. We also understand, and we would want to reiterate, that ITIL specifically is a very, very robust topic. And as the intent of this webinar was to give you an initial glimpse into the whole world of ITIL, and at the same time also give you key areas where you could grow in, right? We also have, and we will wait across for the Q&A session later on, where we can answer specific questions. But I really know for sure that you attending this webinar would have given you much more insights and information which you wouldn't have been able to gather whether going for any other paid training as well, right? So now that we have completed an overview of ITIL, the history behind it, we understand what comprises of ITIL. We also know what is the certification path for ITIL, and now that you have decided that yes, this seems to be the right way or the right progress for my career, the next big question is why ITIL, right? A couple of the key factors that I do want to highlight to help you align or to showcase the benefits of ITIL in your career is of course, the dollars. In a survey ranked by PayScale, which again anonymously gathers professionals across multiple domains, multiple industries, and multiple companies, they found out the ITIL certification was in fact one of the highest paid certifications for employees. You could, as an ITIL certified professional, you could be either a senior project manager, you could be operating as an IT operations manager, a program manager, a senior IT manager, service delivery manager, IT director, or a manager for change management. And these are the roles that ITIL certifications allow you to start working upon. The average salary, once again, would be anywhere between 100,000 to 130,000 annually, right? And again, these are the data compared by PayScale as of 2016. I'm sure that there has been a much better improvement on the pay grade for ITIL certified professionals. Now, I did mention earlier about the heavy adoption of ITIL across cloud-based service industries, specifically Amazon, Google, and others. But there is also the growing base for why ITIL has become the successful and the most demanded certification. And that's because it has been closely tied to the ISO 20000 standards, right? For those who might not have heard about ITIL, but would have definitely heard about the ISO standards, which are required for certifying industries in the operations, before which they can actually be demanded as a highly operational company, right? ITIL certifications are very closely linked with the ISO standards, and with over 800 organizations globally which are ISO 20000 certified and many more in the queue, the demand for ITIL professionals is going to be really high. If you are becoming an ITIL certified professional, then a couple of the key areas, we also discussed about the roles, a couple of the key areas where you should be looking into are incident management, process management, service management, release management, and any IT service management, project management roles, right? With that, we come to an end of the session. Tracy, I would hand the session back to you, and I would stay back for specific Q&As.
Thank you so much, Deepak. That was most informative, and we'd like to remind all of our attendees that NetCom Learning does offer a comprehensive portfolio for ITIL training options, which you can see up there on your screens, and you can take advantage by getting 15% off of your savings by using our promo code. And we can also deliver private training to your teams, of which the learning plan can be customized to the specific needs of your company, your audience, your team. So we are able to do that for you. And these offerings can be found with a simple search on our website at netcomlearning.com. So don't forget to take advantage of that. Technical skills are necessary to empower your career, but do you need to improve or upgrade your leadership skills as well in order to accelerate your career? Along with your technical abilities, develop the skills you need to manage yourself, others, and business better. Welcome to Starter Learning, a collaborative knowledge platform bringing the world's best business and leadership insights from Fortune 1000 leaders, best-selling authors, and Ivy League professors. Further, if you are interested in learning from the top American leaders, please log on to the e-learning platform, sarterlearning.com, and you can avail the special promotion meant for first-time users. You can use your coupon code SARTER10 and begin your leadership journey right now. And right now we are going to launch a quick poll to find out how many people might be interested in taking some additional training. So please take a few minutes before you log off to fill this out. In addition, we have a lot more informative webinars coming up, so please visit us at netcomlearning.com/webinars in order to register. And also don't forget to like and follow our social media pages to get the latest technology updates. You can refer to the GoToWebinar chat window for our links. And happy Halloween, everyone. We also have a Halloween one-day promotion. You can go to our website for live chat and sign up for the recommended courses and avail the Halloween promotion code for that as well. And now we will get to some of those questions for you. Let's see. First one is coming from Kimberly would like to know, how does ITIL compare with companies who are ISO 27001 certified?
Thanks, Tracy. That is, in fact, a very relevant question. And as I had mentioned earlier, the ISO standards are primarily set for auditing purpose. Unless a company meets those specific standards, best practices, so on and so forth, they would not be certified. And that certification is essential for multiple purposes, either for trading or for giving you an ability to provide better services to different companies, so on and so forth. And the ITIL standards are based exactly upon the ISO 20,000 standards. So if you are an ITIL certified professional, then it actually goes back to the recruitment organization that you have a good understanding of the ISO 20,000 standards as well. So they go hand in hand, and it is definitely a great question to ask for, because if you are applying for a company which is specifically asking for ISO 20,000 standard knowledge, then you can show your ITIL certification and actually prove your understanding of the whole ISO standards as well. Once again, there are, and just to be clear, there are some differences, but primarily they are both aligned side by side. Sorry, Tracy, go ahead.
That's okay. Next question is from Tracy. Great name, and we spelled the same way with that E. She would like to know, what about the upcoming VERISM training and exams? Will you have it?
Yeah, and that's again for the marketing team. But if you want to get more information, you should be able to reach out to the NetCom team, and they would be able. I'm sure they will be more than happy to help and assist you with their next set of trainings and certifications.
Okay. Any other final thoughts before we end today's session, Deepak?
I think thanks everyone for participating and hanging on. I really know for a fact that this has been pretty helpful. Thanks, and have a great Halloween, everyone.
And happy Halloween to all of you. And also don't forget to like and follow our social media pages to get the latest technology updates. And you can refer to the GoToWebinar chat window right there up on your screen for all of our links. Again, thank you all for attending. And happy Halloween, everybody. Enjoy your trick-or-treats. And if you do come up with any additional questions, feel free to send them to webinar@netcomlearning.com at any time. We hope that you found today's webinar informative, and we look forward to seeing you back here with us soon. Feel free to tell your friends and colleagues about our webinars and other courses. Have a great day, everyone.